Welcome to this channel. At the sum of 1,000 subscribers, I will post a series of special stories for you. Subscribe. Kara Bishop stood at the edge of the crater, staring at the abandoned spaceship that had been buried deep in the valley for years. The sight of it sent shivers down her spine. Every kid on Proxima 7 knew about the old wreck, the remains of a long-forgotten war. Its jagged metal frame loomed against the dark horizon like a skeletal reminder of something ancient and powerful. She shouldn't be here. If her parents found out, there would be hell to pay. But after years of watching that ship from the distance, hearing stories of alien battles and mysterious technology, she couldn't resist any longer. Tonight was the night. Kara knelt behind a boulder, waiting for the last of the security drones to pass overhead. They monitored the perimeter, ensuring no one would get close to the forbidden site. The mining company had declared it off-limits after a few scavengers disappeared a decade ago, but rumors had spread in hushed voices, rumors of advanced alien technology still hidden inside. The sound of the drone's thrusters grew fainter as it glided over the horizon. Kara's heart pounded in her chest. This was her chance. She slid down the rocky slope, careful to stay low, her flashlight gripped tightly in her hand. The entrance to the ship was jagged, as if something had ripped it open during the crash. The hull's metal was scorched and twisted, but there was enough space for her to squeeze through. She hesitated for a moment, then ducked inside. The interior was dark and cold. Kara's breath misted in the air as she took in her surroundings. The walls were lined with strange markings, like alien hieroglyphs, glowing faintly with a blue light. She recognized some of them from old textbooks, symbols from the Xanthi Empire, an advanced alien civilization that had disappeared long before humans ever ventured into space. Proxima 7 had been one of their outposts, or so the legends said. She ran her fingers along the wall as she moved deeper into the ship, the faint glow casting eerie shadows around her. The silence was unnerving. Her footsteps echoed, each sound swallowed by the vast emptiness. Kara had expected something more, maybe broken control panels or debris scattered around. But everything was eerily pristine, like the ship had been frozen in time. Ahead, she spotted a large doorway, slightly ajar. A soft, pulsing light seeped through the crack. Kara's curiosity tugged at her, pulling her toward it. She pushed the door open with a creak, her flashlight beam sweeping over the room. There it was. At the center of the chamber, hovering above a pedestal, was the armor. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Sleek and metallic, with an otherworldly design, the suit glimmered in shades of blue and silver. Its surface pulsed with energy, almost alive, as if waiting for something or someone. Kara's breath caught in her throat. The stories had been true. Alien technology, hidden for centuries, lay before her. She stepped closer, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch it. The moment her fingers brushed the surface of the armor, the entire room seemed to shift. Lights flickered on, and the floor beneath her feet vibrated with a low hum. Kara Bishop, a voice echoed in the room, mechanical yet somehow familiar. User recognized. Terran female, age 17. Activation of Archon armor initiated. Kara stumbled back, her heart racing. What's happening? She gasped, looking around for the source of the voice. Before she could react, the armor moved. It surged forward like liquid metal, wrapping itself around her body in a flash of light. Kara screamed, trying to tear it off, but it was too late. The armor flowed over her skin, encasing her in its cold embrace. Piece by piece, it bonded to her, until it became a second skin. Kara fell to her knees, gasping for air. Her heart pounded in her chest, fear and adrenaline surging through her veins. But then, something incredible happened. The fear began to fade. The panic, the terror, it all melted away, replaced by a strange calmness, a sense of power that she had never felt before. Her vision sharpened, and her body felt lighter, stronger. She could feel the suit syncing with her mind, responding to her thoughts. Kara Bishop, the voice spoke again, this time inside her head. You are now the bearer of the Archon armor, a relic of the Xanthi Empire. This armor enhances physical and mental capabilities, grants energy manipulation, and provides defense against all known forms of attack. You have been chosen. Chosen? Kara whispered, trying to comprehend what was happening. Why me? I didn't dash. Suddenly, the ship's systems began to awaken. Panels on the walls lit up, and a series of alien symbols flashed before her eyes, overlaying her vision like a holographic interface. She could read them now, even though she had no idea how. Warning, unidentified vessel detected. Proximity alert. The words pulsed before her eyes, and her body tensed. The ship was picking up something approaching fast. Kara stumbled to her feet, her body feeling strangely light as the armor adjusted to her movements. What's going on? The Archon armor is a powerful relic, sought after by many, the voice of the AI explained. Your presence has activated a dormant signal. Hostiles are en route to retrieve the armor. Hostiles? Kara's stomach churned with fear. You mean aliens? Here? Correct, the voice replied. They are coming. You must prepare for combat. Combat? I don't even know how to use this thing. Kara shouted, panic rising again. But there was no time to argue. The ship's sensors showed multiple incoming vessels, their sleek shapes cutting through the atmosphere. Kara's mind raced. She had to get out of here, she had to warn someone, but she couldn't move fast enough. Suddenly, the armor responded to her thoughts. It surged with power, amplifying her strength. She sprinted toward the ship's exit, faster than she'd ever moved before. Her feet barely touched the ground as she leaped over debris, her body moving with an agility she didn't know she had. Outside, the night sky was ablaze with incoming ships, dark, angular crafts that looked like predatory birds. They descended rapidly, their weapons already charging. Kara's heart pounded in her chest. She didn't know how to fight, she didn't know how to. Without warning, the armor's shields activated. A shimmering blue force field surrounded her just as a barrage of plasma fire rained down from the alien ships. The blast struck the shield and dissipated, leaving her unharmed. She stared in shock. The armor had protected her. Kara, the voice in her head said, calm and steady. The Archon armor is the most advanced combat suit in the galaxy. Trust it. Let it guide you. She swallowed hard, her mind whirling. Could she do this? Could she really fight? The alien ships landed, and strange figures emerged, tall, insect-like beings with glowing eyes and razor-sharp weapons. They moved swiftly, advancing toward her. Kara took a deep breath. She could feel the armor's power coursing through her veins, its energy merging with hers. She wasn't just a girl from Proxima 7 anymore. She was something else, something powerful. With a thought, the armor responded. Her fists crackled with energy, and her body surged forward, faster and stronger than she ever imagined. The first alien lunged at her, but she was ready. For the first time in her life, Kara wasn't afraid. She was invincible. Kara stood in the aftermath of the battle, breathing heavily, her heart racing. The aliens, those strange, insect-like creatures, were scattered around her, either unconscious or fleeing. She couldn't believe what had just happened. She had fought them off. Not just survived, but won. The armor had turned her into something else, something powerful. Her hands were still crackling with the residual energy from the armor, the same energy that had blasted through the enemies like nothing she'd ever seen. She flexed her fingers, watching the blue arcs of light dance across her palm. This was real. She wasn't dreaming. What did I just do? Kara whispered, more to herself than to the AI. You successfully defended yourself from hostile forces, the voice of Voron, the armor's AI, replied calmly in her head. The Archon armor is designed to amplify physical strength, enhance reflexes, and allow energy manipulation. You have only just begun to unlock its potential. Kara sat down on a piece of twisted metal, her head spinning. She wasn't just stronger. She wasn't just faster. She was something else entirely now. She felt different. Not just physically, but mentally too. Her thoughts were clearer, sharper, like her brain was operating at a higher speed. Even the alien symbols on the ship walls, which had been indecipherable before, now made sense, as though the suit had imprinted its knowledge into her mind. I didn't even know what I was doing, Kara muttered. It was like the armor took control. The Archon armor is designed to enhance the instincts of its user, Voron explained. While you are wearing the suit, it assists in decision-making during high-stress scenarios, especially in combat. As you become more familiar with it, you will be able to exert full control over its functions. Kara stood up again, her legs still shaky from the adrenaline coursing through her body. She had 1,000 questions. What was this armor really? Where had it come from? And why had it chosen her? She looked down at her body, still encased in the sleek, metallic suit. It was strange, but she could feel every part of it, like it wasn't just armor anymore, but an extension of her own skin. Why me? She asked softly, still staring at her reflection in the glass panel of the ship's hull. Why did you choose me? Voron hesitated for a moment, as though processing her question. The Archon armor is an ancient relic of the Xanthi Empire, once worn by their greatest warriors. It was created to be the ultimate tool for defense and survival. When the armor bonds with a host, it evaluates their potential based on certain criteria: genetic compatibility, mental resilience, and adaptability to alien technology. You possess all of these traits. Kara's head swirled. Genetic compatibility? Mental resilience? She was just a farm girl, a kid from a mining colony. How could she possibly fit the criteria for something this advanced? But I didn't ask for this, she said, her voice rising. I didn't ask to be a warrior or to fight alien invaders. I just wanted to see the ship, that's all. The armor's bond is permanent, Voron replied, unbothered by her rising panic. Once activated, it cannot be removed by ordinary means. You have been chosen, and now you are responsible for its power. Kara's chest tightened. I can't go back to my normal life, can I? No, Voron said, its voice resolute. Not as you were. Kara felt a lump form in her throat. The reality of it was starting to sink in. She wasn't just playing with something she could walk away from. She couldn't just leave the armor behind, return home, and pretend none of this had happened. Her life, her entire world had changed in the blink of an eye. She glanced up at the horizon. The sky was beginning to lighten with the first streaks of dawn. She'd been gone all night. Her parents would be worried. But how could she go back now? There was no way they would believe her. She barely believed it herself. Do they know where I am? The aliens? Kara asked after a long silence. Those you defeated were likely scouts, Voron explained. Their main forces will follow. The signal from the armor's activation has drawn the attention of several factions across the galaxy, all of whom seek its power. They will come for you. Kara's stomach lurched. What? You're saying more are coming? Yes, Voron replied calmly. And soon. Kara's mind raced. She had to do something, anything. But what? How could she prepare for an alien invasion? She was just one person. A kid. Even with the armor, how was she supposed to fight off an entire army? You must learn to use the armor's full capabilities, Voron continued. The Xanthi designed it to be the ultimate defense, but it will require training and adaptation on your part. The more you sync with the armor, the more powerful it will become. Kara swallowed hard. There was no escaping it. This was her life now, whether she liked it or not. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. "Okay," she said, her voice steady. "Where do we start?" Over the next few days, Kara spent every waking moment learning to control the armor. At first, it was overwhelming. The power surging through her felt like too much to handle. Simple tasks, like running or jumping, sent her soaring higher or faster than she intended. Her strength was immense, lifting boulders with a single hand or crushing metal with ease, but it required delicate control, something she had to constantly work at. The armor's interface became more intuitive as she trained. Voron guided her through exercises, helping her unlock new abilities, energy manipulation, creating force fields, enhancing her senses. She discovered she could generate blasts of pure energy from her hands, enough to incinerate a target from a distance. She could leap across vast chasms, run at incredible speeds, and even survive in extreme conditions. But it wasn't just the physical upgrades. The armor was beginning to change her mentally too. Kara found herself understanding alien technology with ease, reading and interpreting data that would have been incomprehensible to her before. The suit had implanted knowledge into her brain, giving her the ability to operate complex systems, even if she didn't fully grasp how she was doing it. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Every day, Kara felt more like someone or something else. She wasn't just Kara anymore. She was becoming something more than human. One afternoon, after a particularly intense training session, Kara stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley. The wind whipped through her hair, the sky stretching out endlessly above her. She should have felt small, insignificant. But instead, she felt powerful. Still, the weight of what was coming pressed down on her. She had the power now, but with it came the responsibility. The aliens would come for her and for the armor. And when they did, she had to be ready. "Voron," Kara said, her voice low, "how many are going to come after me? How many enemies are we talking about?" "There are many factions in the galaxy that have long sought the Archon armor," Voron replied. "Some will send bounty hunters, others will dispatch entire fleets. You are now a target of interest to them all." Kara's stomach twisted. She clenched her fists, the armor responding with a faint hum of energy. She didn't ask for this, but she couldn't turn back now. "Then I guess I better get ready," she muttered. "Because I'm not giving this armor up. Not to anyone." The weight of her decision settled over her. She wasn't just protecting herself anymore. She was standing in the way of forces far greater than she could understand. But she had the armor, and with it, she had a chance. And Kara wasn't going to let anyone take that away from her. The sky above Proxima 7 was a dull, rust-colored hue, as storm clouds gathered on the horizon, signaling an approaching dust storm. But Kara barely noticed. She was too focused, too alert. Ever since Voron had warned her of more enemies coming, she had been on edge, preparing for the inevitable. Every day had been a blur of training, pushing the limits of the armor, trying to master its full potential. But deep down, Kara knew that no matter how much she trained, she couldn't possibly be ready for what was coming. And now, it was here. Kara stood atop the cliff overlooking the valley where the shipwreck lay, the wind whipping through her short, dark hair. Her eyes, enhanced by the Archon armor, scanned the horizon. The sensors in her helmet overlaid the environment with real-time data: temperature, wind speed, atmospheric composition, but none of it mattered. What mattered was the incoming alert flashing across her vision. "Hostile forces detected. Are you sure they're coming for me?" Kara asked, her voice tight with tension. "There is no doubt," Voron replied in her mind. "The signal emitted by the armor during activation has drawn attention. Several alien factions have long sought the Archon armor, and these are merely the first to arrive. Prepare yourself." Kara took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the familiar hum of the armor around her, a living, pulsing energy that responded to her every thought. In the weeks since she had first bonded with it, the suit had become a part of her, both a blessing and a burden. She scanned the skies again, her enhanced vision zooming in on a faint glimmer in the atmosphere. At first, it looked like a star, but it was moving too fast, getting larger by the second. A series of small dots followed behind its ships. Alien ships. And they were descending directly toward her position. "They're fast," she muttered, trying to steady her nerves. "They are likely bounty hunters," Voron informed her. "Small, nimble craft designed for quick strikes. They will attempt to disable you and retrieve the armor." Kara gritted her teeth. "Not if I disable them first." She flexed her hands, and the armor responded instantly, energy coursing through her body. She could feel the strength it gave her, the raw power humming beneath her skin. But the aliens would have their own technology. They'd be prepared. The first ship broke through the atmosphere, its sleek, angular body casting a dark shadow across the valley. It hovered for a moment, assessing the terrain, and then two more ships appeared beside it, fanning out into attack formation. Kara's sensors flared with warnings as the ships began charging their weapons. Her hands clenched into fists. "Here we go." Without hesitation, the first ship fired a barrage of plasma bolts directly at her. The air around Kara crackled with energy as the bolts streaked toward her position. But she was faster. Her enhanced reflexes kicked in, and she darted to the side, leaping off the cliff with incredible speed. The plasma fire scorched the ground where she had stood moments before, but Kara was already in the air, rocketing toward the ships with inhuman agility. "Focus on the lead craft," Voron advised. "Disable its weapon systems first." Kara nodded, her mind locking onto the target. The armor responded instantly, propelling her forward like a missile. She could feel the power thrumming through her body, amplifying her strength, her speed. As she neared the first ship, the armor's systems automatically generated a shield around her, deflecting incoming fire. With a grunt of effort, Kara landed on the ship's hull, gripping the smooth metal with surprising ease. The craft lurched violently, trying to shake her off, but the armor kept her firmly anchored. Kara's mind raced. What now? Before she could second-guess herself, the armor's interface appeared in her vision, highlighting weak points along the ship's hull. Kara aimed her fist, which crackled with blue energy, and slammed it into the highlighted spot. The metal crumpled under the force of her blow, and sparks flew as she ripped open the ship's outer layer. "Direct access to the core," Voron said. "A well-placed energy blast should disable the craft." Kara didn't hesitate. She aimed her palm at the exposed machinery, and a beam of pure energy shot from her hand, blasting straight into the ship's power core. The effect was immediate. The ship shuddered violently, its engine sputtering and failing as it plummeted toward the ground. Kara leaped off just in time, landing gracefully on the rocky terrain below as the ship crashed into the valley floor, sending up a cloud of dust and debris. One down. But there was no time to celebrate. The two remaining ships had adjusted their tactics. They began circling her, firing in rapid succession, forcing her to dodge and weave through a barrage of plasma bolts. Kara's mind was racing, her reflexes barely keeping up with the onslaught. She dove behind a large boulder for cover, the plasma blasts exploding around her. Her heart was pounding in her chest, but the armor kept her calm, her mind focused. She couldn't stay defensive. She had to take the fight to them. Kara glanced at the second ship as it swooped low, preparing for another attack run. A plan formed in her mind, and without hesitating, she leaped from cover, sprinting across the open ground toward the ship. Just as it fired, Kara somersaulted into the air, dodging the plasma blast and landing on the ship's wing. With a swift movement, she tore open a panel on the side, exposing the internal systems. But instead of disabling the craft like the first, she had a different idea. Kara plunged her hand into the wiring, and the armor's systems interfaced with the ship's controls. "Voron, take over their navigation," she shouted. "Understood." The ship bucked violently, trying to shake her off, but Kara held on tight as Voron overrode the controls. The craft turned sharply, its weapons targeting the third ship. Before the pilot could react, the second ship fired, obliterating its comrade in a fiery explosion. With a triumphant shout, Kara jumped from the now disabled ship as it spiraled out of control, crashing into the side of the valley. The explosion rocked the ground beneath her feet, but Kara stood firm, breathing heavily, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Silence settled over the valley once again, the wind howling through the cliffs. The three ships lay in ruins around her, their flames flickering in the distance. Kara stood amidst the wreckage, panting from the exertion but feeling an overwhelming sense of power. She had done it. She had taken down an entire strike team by herself. The Archon armor hummed around her, responding to her emotions, amplifying her strength. But even as the adrenaline began to fade, Kara knew this wasn't over. If these bounty hunters had found her, others would too. And they might be stronger. More prepared. Her victory here was just a temporary reprieve. The real battle was still ahead. Voron, she said, her voice steady despite the storm of thoughts in her head, how long do we have before more come? There is no exact time frame, the AI replied. But it is only a matter of time before other factions take notice of the armor's activation signal. You must be prepared for larger, more coordinated forces. Kara exhaled slowly, looking out at the smoldering wreckage. This was just the beginning. She could feel it. But even as she stood there, contemplating what came next, something strange happened. A faint hum filled the air, different from the sound of the ships or the wind. It was deeper, more resonant, like a vibration that she could feel in her bones. "What's that sound?" Kara asked, her pulse quickening. Before Voron could answer, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. A glowing symbol, the same alien symbol she had seen inside the ship when she first found the armor, appeared on the valley floor, pulsing with light. And then, without warning, a beam of light shot up from the ground, enveloping Kara in its glow. She screamed, her vision going white as the light consumed her. For a moment, there was nothing, just the blinding light and the feeling of weightlessness. And then, just as suddenly, the light vanished. Kara opened her eyes, gasping for breath. She was no longer in the valley. She wasn't even on Proxima 7. She was standing on the bridge of a massive, ancient ship, far larger than the one she had found on her home planet. The walls were lined with strange symbols, glowing faintly, and at the center of the room stood a figure tall, cloaked in shadow, its eyes glowing with a fierce, alien intelligence. "Welcome, Kara Bishop," the figure said, its voice reverberating through the ship. "I have been waiting for you." Kara blinked, her vision adjusting to the dim, eerie light that filled the massive chamber. She was no longer on Proxima 7. The air was thick, cool, and heavy with the scent of ancient machinery and old power. The massive ship she now stood in seemed to hum with energy beneath her feet, and the towering walls were covered with the same alien symbols she had seen inside the derelict ship back home. But this place was different, vast, alive, and ancient. Ahead of her, the shadowed figure moved slowly, stepping forward with a graceful, deliberate pace. The figure was tall, nearly 7 feet, wrapped in a dark, flowing cloak that obscured much of its features. Its eyes, however, glowed with a brilliant blue light, piercing through the darkness like twin stars. The air around it seemed to crackle with energy, and Kara could feel the sheer power radiating from its presence. She swallowed hard, her heart pounding in her chest. Every instinct told her to prepare for a fight, but something held her back. The figure hadn't attacked yet. "Who are you?" Kara demanded, her voice echoing slightly in the vast chamber. Her hands clenched into fists, the armor pulsing in response to her anxiety. "What do you want from me?" The figure tilted its head slightly, its glowing eyes narrowing as it regarded her. "I am Zalith," it said, its voice deep and resonant, almost vibrating through the air. "I am the last of the Xanthi, the ancient race that created the armor you now wear. And I have waited eons for the one who would awaken it." Kara's mind reeled. The Xanthi. She had learned about them, an ancient, long-extinct species that had once ruled a vast empire spanning the galaxy. Their technology was said to be unrivaled, and their knowledge lost to time. She had always thought they were little more than legends. But here was one of them, standing right in front of her. "What do you mean, you've been waiting for me?" Kara asked, trying to keep her voice steady despite the growing sense of unease. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose the armor. It just happened." Zalatha's glowing eyes flickered slightly, as though amused. "The Archon armor does not choose lightly. It bonded with you because it sensed within you the qualities necessary to bear its burden. You are not just its wearer, Kara Bishop. You are its final guardian." Kara shook her head, taking a step back. "I don't understand. What burden? What does that even mean?" Zalatha's gaze hardened, and for the first time, a hint of urgency crept into his voice. "The armor you wear is not merely a tool for battle. It is a relic of a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy. The Xanthi created the Archon armor as a last line of defense against a threat far greater than anything you have yet encountered." A cold chill ran down Kara's spine. "What threat?" Zalath turned away, walking toward a massive window that overlooked the stars. "The enemy that wiped out my people. A race known as the Obsidian Collective. They are an ancient, parasitic species that thrives on consuming the life force of entire civilizations. When we realized their intent to harvest our empire, it was too late. Our technology, our armies. They were no match for the Collective's endless hunger." Kara's heart sank as she listened, the weight of his words pressing down on her. "And now they're coming for us?" Zalath nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the stars beyond. "The Obsidian Collective was defeated millennia ago, but not destroyed. They have been lying dormant, recovering their strength. Now that the Archon armor has been activated, they will sense its power, and they will come once more to finish what they started." Kara felt her chest tighten. "And you're saying I'm supposed to stop them? I'm just one person. I barely know how to use this thing, and you expect me to take on an entire race of what? Monsters?" Zalath turned to face her, his eyes glowing brighter. "You are not alone, Kara. The armor itself holds the memories and the power of the greatest warriors of my people. It is more than just a weapon, it is a guide, a teacher. You have already begun to unlock its potential, but there is much more within it that you must learn." Kara bit her lip, frustration boiling inside her. "I didn't ask for any of this. I was just a normal kid on a colony no one cares about. I didn't sign up to save the galaxy." Zalatha's expression softened, and he took a step closer. "None of us choose the burdens we are given, Kara. But you were chosen for a reason. The armor saw something in you, a strength, a resilience that others lack. You have already faced your enemies and emerged victorious. You have more power than you realize." Kara looked down at her armored hands, the blue energy flickering faintly at her fingertips. She thought about the fights she had already survived, the bounty hunters, the alien forces, and how the armor had guided her through each one. It had felt overwhelming at first, but now it felt like part of her. "I can't do this alone," she said quietly. "I don't even know where to start." Zalath nodded slowly. "That is why I am here. I have waited centuries for this moment, for the one who would wear the armor. I can guide you, teach you how to unlock its full potential. Together, we can stand against the Collective when they arrive." Kara's mind raced. Could she really do this? Could she really be the one to stop an ancient, unstoppable enemy? She wasn't sure. But she didn't have a choice. The armor had chosen her, and with it came a responsibility she couldn't ignore. As if sensing her resolve, the armor's energy pulsed warmly around her, comforting her in a way she hadn't felt before. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a companion. A part of her. Kara took a deep breath and nodded. "Okay. I'll do it. I'll fight. Zalatha's eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time, he smiled. Good. But be warned, Kara Bishop, this journey will not be easy. The Obsidian Collective is a force unlike anything you've faced. They will come with numbers, with power. And they will stop at nothing to claim the armor. Kara swallowed hard. I'll be ready. But what about my home? My parents, my friends, they don't even know what's happening. Zalatha's expression darkened. Proxima 7 will not be safe. The Collective will not discriminate between your world and others. The only way to protect your home is to confront the enemy head-on, before they reach it. The thought of her home being invaded by these creatures made Kara's blood run cold. Her parents had no idea what was coming. None of the people on Proxima 7 did. But if what Zalath said was true, then fighting was the only way to save them. Then we fight, Kara said firmly, her voice steady. What's the plan? Zalath stepped back and waved his hand, causing the room to darken. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing the galaxy in all its vastness. Stars and planets flickered into view, and at the far edge of the map, a dark, swirling mass began to spread, an ominous cloud moving slowly toward the center. The Collective will come from the outer reaches of the galaxy, Zalath explained, pointing to the dark mass. They are drawn to the Archon armor's energy. We will not wait for them to reach us. Instead, we will meet them in the far sectors, where their forces are weakest. There, you will learn to control the full power of the armor. Kara stared at the map, her heart pounding. It was a daunting task, but one she knew she had to face. She nodded again, more confident this time. Let's do it. Zalatha's eyes glowed with approval. Good. The journey ahead will be long and perilous, Kara Bishop. But with the Archon armor, you have the strength to change the fate of the galaxy. Kara took one last look at the stars beyond, her mind filled with uncertainty and determination. She had started this journey as a simple girl from a backwater colony, but now she was something more, something powerful, something destined. No matter what came next, she knew one thing for sure. She would not run. She would fight. And she would win.